This episode is brought to you by Hostfully. Using Hostfully, you can create a free digital guidebook for your listing so that you can save time creating a professional experience for every guest that comes and visits your spot. Learn more at hostfully.com.
Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome.
Get paid for your pad. Get paid for your pad. Get paid for your pad.
Welcome everybody, episode 287 of Get Paid for Your Pad. Today my guest is Pierre-Camille Hamana. He is the founder and CEO of Smartbnb, and he was already on the podcast before, episode 125, back in February 2017. And everybody of course knows Smartbnb as the market leader in the automated messaging space, but now they are expanding with new functionality. So I invited Pierre to come on the show and explain to us what he's up to with Smartbnb. So Pierre, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jasper. Long time no see.
Long time no see. How are you doing? I know you're always very, very, very busy.
Yeah, that's true. That's the chance of being in a growing and quite successful business. And the challenge is basically always planning for the next step. So we're pretty ambitious into everything that we're doing.
Awesome. Well, let's go back a little bit and talk about what is Smartbnb, just for the people who haven't heard about it.
Yeah, they are. So we are basically a guest experience platform. What our mission is to help Airbnb hosts and property managers deliver a personal, great guest experience at scale. And we do that by automating every step of the communication flow from the first inquiry until after the checkout. With a very strong focus on personalization. So that personalization is coming from, for example, a lot of variables that you can use into your templates, from the possibility of having messages that adapt on the fly, depending on the guest profile, the reservation, their listings. And we also do that by machine learning, where we can detect questions directly into the conversations and be able to respond to it if the host has configured that appropriately. And what we are expanding to now with this new product is especially the field of operation management. So helping operation managers for property managers automate the management of their operations with tasks for cleaning, check-in, and check-out people. And so we are a team of 12. We are completely distributed around the world, so from Turkey to Tennessee. And we're fully bootstrapped. In that we have not received any capital. So that's our own business, and we can be focused on building a long-term sustainable businesses for customers. And we are basically helping 2,000 business customers that manage together about 65,000 properties across the world.
Awesome. Well, I remember when I found Smartbnb back in 2017, I started using it. I was very excited because the messaging takes up a lot of time. And so to be able to send automated messages, I thought was really cool. What I also really enjoyed was, like you said, the personalization. And so if I would get a booking confirmation, I didn't have to send an email. I didn't have to do anything essentially, because Smartbnb would just send an automated booking confirmation message to the guest, even when I was asleep. And it would have the name of the guest in there as well, because you can use those shortcodes that you're talking about, right? The personalization.
Yeah.
And so even if I was asleep, within a few seconds, my guest would get that message. It has all the check-in information. And so what I loved about it was it enabled me to really streamline my operations, to make it more efficient, save time. But also, I believe that responding quickly to messages is also important for the visibility of the listing in the search results, right? So I felt like you're kind of killing two flies with one stone, or two bears with one arrow, or whatever the expression is.
Yeah, those are pretty big flies. But you're pretty right. Exactly. I mean, that was exactly the reason why I built Smartbnb for myself. Really, I was at the time hosting a private room in Brussels, where I live. Just one private room. I mean, really, you cannot go smaller than that. and in terms of scale. But I was already feeling really tired and overwhelmed really by the number of check-in instructions that you have to send for back-to-back reservations. And also you actually kind of forget a lot of messages. And that's when you start having, using Google Docs or any kind of static messages that have to be as generic as possible. That doesn't make anyone happy to use. And if you actually want to go the extra mile and personalize the messages, then you actually realize you're wasting a lot of time. So that's what I thought, is that there has to be a better way that's more like 2017 or 2019 friendly. And I think we basically developed the technology to really make it happen. So with a strong focus on personalization. As you said, Jasper, one of the things that I think is really quite exclusive to us is that for us, the challenge is not about automating messages. That bit is actually pretty low value. You can find many hacks based on emails to send a very generic message relatively quickly. That's not what's interesting for the hospitality industry. What's really challenging is to make those messages personal. Like they relate to a situation, they relate with a conversation, they are about a reservation. And that's all the things that we had to develop to make sure that fundamentally the guest never knows that it's an automated message, and that a human would not have been in a position to write a better message because of the data that we manage to create those messages ourselves.
Right. That's the artificial intelligence part of it. So, for example, if I receive a message from a guest that has the word Wi-Fi in the message, then Smartbnb would automatically respond with a message explaining what the Wi-Fi details are. Right? Is that a good example?
That's a very good example, and obviously one everyone can relate to. So Wi-Fi passwords. What's your Wi-Fi password? How many times a day a property manager with about 20 properties is going to answer that question? It's a bit overwhelming. It's not exactly where the value of guest experience managers really is. So we have those models that are going to detect the most common questions that are being asked by guests in their conversations, and then you can basically set up your replies to that type of question. The reply can actually depend on the stage of the conversation. So if you, for example, would have a question about Wi-Fi before the booking, you can send a reply that would be more, you can configure a reply that would be more salesy in a way, reassuring that, for example, there is Wi-Fi and it's fast and it's reliable. And when you have a guest that is asking a question about the Wi-Fi during their stay, then you can start communicating the Wi-Fi password and obviously give some first level of troubleshooting details if they have problem connecting. And it's made in a way that obviously if the guests keep asking the question, we'll not keep sending the same answer. That's basically in the end, we leave a lot of bandwidth for the host to manage those follow-up questions directly and manually, as they will be probably more complex than what the machine learning could manage. So it's really a practical implementation of machine learning to the hospitality industry by really recognizing questions directly into the conversation, but letting the host configure the reply, because we believe that there is no better person than the host or the manager to know about the property and how to craft the message for that specific situation.
So another thing I really like about Smartbnb is the multiple language support. So if a person makes an inquiry in German, then the response can be automatically be in German as well. And I think Smartbnb supports how many languages? Like 20, 25?
29. That's all the languages that actually Airbnb supports. And we've expanded that to Airbnb and to HomeAway as well for the language of the conversation or the language that is preferred by the guest. When I was referring earlier about access to data to craft a more personal message, well, for example, that's one of the direction that's where we went a bit insane. But we know in which language the listing is going to be displayed on the guest laptop, on their mobile application. So if they're ready to read the listing description in that language and they're willing to have Airbnb for an application in that language and they're going to pay in that language, then that's probably the best language to talk to them. So that allows us really to bypass any kind of possible language problem and really make sure that the host will be sending the message in the language that is the most practical for the guests directly. Obviously, that doesn't mean that we will automatically always use the language of the guest. That really is going to be depending, obviously, first on the capacity of the host to communicate in that language. So it's always going to be on an opt-in basis. You have to configure your templates in German, for example. And that allows you also to adapt the message depending on different languages and depending on different cultures as well. So you don't have to send exactly the same language for different languages. The focus here on our side, I mean, I've said repeatedly, it's about personalization, but we also want to make sure that the experience of automation is repeatable, predictable, controlled, so that you know what Smartbnb is going to do before we do it, and we can always explain exactly what happened to deliver that. Always thinking of the guest first.
Yeah, I think that's important because there's a fear that people might have when they start with automated messaging is that they don't know what's going to happen, right? They don't know what's going to be sent out. So I think that's really good. Now, and from my perspective, Smartbnb, I think, is the leader in the, you call it guest experience communications space. From my perspective, I think you guys are definitely the market leader in the automated messaging space. Now you're expanding, you're adding functionality. My question is, you have an amazing product that works really well. Like, why did you decide to expand?
Because the alternative is really bad. If we don't expand, I think the business dies. Our approach has always been quite different. We're not a company we don't want to build a product that's going to do and solve everything. What we approach is basically we identify a very valuable problem. We apply a lot of force to solve that problem, and then we can expand into another highly valuable problem. Messaging automation, the entire guest experience, the entire personalization. So we see a big problem that is experienced by any Airbnb host, HomeAway host, Booking.com professional manager. That's really what's happening on the day-to-day. And the winning solution is the one that can offer options to really deliver a personal message on the fly. The reason why we expand is that obviously we're always listening to customers and trying to understand their business. What is part of the rebranding is a video where we explain a bit about that approach. It's really about asking questions and questioning everything that's happening for ourselves and also for the entire industry. That's what we realize, obviously, is the fact that we deliver a lot of value for the guest experience part. And we would love to have the same happening also for operations manager. What we realize is that for some of our customers, they can really grow their portfolio properties, and all the guest experience is not really a concern because they know there is Smartbnb and they already also have people that will be able to handle the different problems and making sure that the configuration is optimized. But you still have operations people that have to have their own system. And you know that, Jasper, every company is going to have their own little model that works for them, basically with Excel sheets or with some other application. And the problem with those solutions is that they are never natively integrated. It doesn't happen as automatically, as fast, as real time, with as much data as we're in a position to be doing. So obviously, the second most valuable problem, and that's really touching on guest experience, is really making sure that the operations are going fine, that they are always predictable, and that you don't have any guest checking into a property that was not cleaned because the information didn't pass to the cleaning people, for example. That's why we developed operations. Operations is a product that's really focused on that mission alone, which is really streamlining the operation of short-term rental businesses with a real-time integration. So as soon as there is a reservation that is captured, we'll trigger a lot of task rules for task automation, and we'd readapt the time based also on what the machine learning is telling us about the check-in and check-out times for that guest. So we're really going to push a lot into that direction to really be solving that problem, which is once you have more than 20 properties, how do you automate the operations of a business while maximizing the guest experience? And we're very excited about it. We're very excited about the version we have today, and we are even more excited about what's going to happen in the next few months and in next years about that product, because I believe what we've done for guest experience, we can do it again for the operations.
Right. So right now, just to summarize, Smartbnb consists of 3 components, right? It's guest experience, it's operations, and it's metrics.
Yeah, exactly. So guest experience, deliver personal guest experience at scale. Operations, streamlining the management of the back end, the back office of short-term rental businesses. And metrics is all about understanding the business a lot better to allow it to grow and making more data-driven decisions.
Awesome. So can you tell us what platforms Smartbnb is integrated with?
Yeah, sure. So we currently integrate with Airbnb. We integrate with HomeAway, VRBO, and the entire family of websites, the entire family. And we are basically talking with Expedia, which is the owner of HomeAway, VRBO. And we're also in talks with Booking.com. And I believe both integrations with Expedia and Booking.com should happen by the end of the year to really build in two directions, which is going to be obviously still focusing on native messaging integration, which is really key for us to enable that personalization of messages. And the other direction is obviously building a stronger property management software or channel manager, as it's called in the industry, to really help in the distribution of properties directly from Smartbnb. But we have a different approach to this. We believe that there is a war going on, obviously, between Airbnb and Booking.com. It's kind of a war that is won by design. The Airbnb experience of being a host is really, really smooth. It's really accessible to any user, while the experience of using HomeAway and Booking.com is reserved for more professional businesses. And what we want to do really with HomeAway, Expedia, and with Booking.com is to bring that simplicity back into managing a portfolio of properties. And that's something that we already anticipated as part of the new design that we have just released.
Right. So the way I imagine this is, if I want to be on Booking.com, I want to be on HomeAway, I want to be on Airbnb, I can do that, but I can manage all those listings through Smartbnb. So I don't have to go into Booking.com and deal with sort of their user experience.
Exactly. I think the main obstacle that exists now for the businesses that are interested into expanding onto other platforms is that it feels like you have to relearn an entire new way of doing business. Obviously, Airbnb was super easy to use. It's super easy to start with. It's going to tell you what to do. It's going to educate you. But that's not exactly the same focus for HomeAway and Booking.com. What we want to do, obviously, is to support the growing, scaling short-term rental businesses. Even starting from one listing and having a second one, that's already a 50% growth. But we want to be able to do so in a way that it's smooth, it's convenient, it's easy to use, it's fast, it's reliable. That's why we need to have this new redesign completely. We want you to be able to expand into a new platform directly from Smartbnb without having to touch necessarily that new platform unless for very different operations that we absolutely cannot integrate with. The idea is that everything that you can do on the platform, you can do from Smartbnb. You can do from the inbox, you can do from the calendar, you can do from a properties product, and then you can maximize the value of that with guest experience and operations and metrics as well.
Can you talk a little bit more about the metrics component?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So that's a new product that we have released, I think, last year in November, if my memory serves. It's a product that is really loved by just about everyone, every segment of property managers and Airbnb hosts. I should probably start by saying why we created it. We're in a conversation with one of our larger customers in Australia. And we basically asked them a few questions. So what's your occupancy rate? How do you manage that? Oh, wait. And actually, we realized they have been raising funding. And it was actually difficult for them to know what was their occupancy rates, what were the growth rates. They were all managing the data by hand. And it obviously doesn't work really well when you manage more than 100 properties. We had another call with another customer, and we asked them if they were solving that problem, which is really how much money are you making? And that should be really key. Their situation was a bit different because they were managing a lot of accounts, a lot of Airbnb accounts, a lot of HomeAway accounts. And basically, they told us that they were connecting to each account at the end of the day, at the end of the month, trying to get the numbers right directly from Airbnb. And it was taking basically about 3 days to get that data. So that's so frustrating, the experience of managing different accounts is. So yeah, that's where the idea for metrics came from. And we really made so that it would escalate all the business metrics in a very convenient fashion. So that's about 40 different business metrics. Obviously, that starts from RevPAR, so revenue per night, revenue per guest. You can have the conversion rate, the occupancy rates. You can have the time to respond. You can have the volume of messages by hour, which is quite convenient for the management of the different people that will communicate with guests. And we have actually received a lot of feedback about that, and that's actually one of the reasons why we wanted to redesign it again. So currently, Metrics is going through a full redesign in the same way as guest experience and operations went. And that's really going to be helping us rethink the products based on that first level of feedback. And make that also make the metrics product work in a multi-channel world in the same way as the rest of the product.
Awesome. So for people who are interested in learning more about Smartbnb, and for the current users that want to learn more about the changes, like where's the best place where people can find information?
Well, that will be on our website, so smartbnb.io. We also, so as you said, we completely rebranded. So we have a new logo, we have a new tone of voice, and we have different pages that really going to go into greater details about what is the problem that we're solving, what are the features, and that helps solve that problem. And obviously we also do have a customer support team. We also have a sales team now to meet the needs of customers, to answer the questions they may have about their usage of Smartbnb and what Smartbnb can do for them in practice. We do spend a lot of time talking to users. We do spend a lot of time asking them questions to make sure that we can serve them better.
Can you also let us know what's the pricing? Do people get like a free trial if people want to try it out for free? Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do offer a free trial for 14 days. It may seem long, it may seem short. The reality is that the people that are using Smartbnb generally subscribe way before the end of that trial period, generally on the third day. So that's kind of a testimonial of the ease of use of our product already. Then in terms of pricing, so it's actually a bit different than everyone. We start with the plan. The base plan basically starts at €15, excluding VAT for Europeans, $18 a month for the first 2 listings. And then we basically add an additional fee per listing for listings that have actually hosted a guest in the past 30 days. So if the listing is just sitting there and you are just, for example, in a sunrise period, we just launched a new listing, you basically won't be charged extra for that listing. And when you sunset it, it will disappear also automatically from your invoice as you no longer are hosting guests with it. So that's really is dependent on the scalability. We really have a pricing that's focused on growth, on portfolio growth, which means the more you grow, the happier we are. And then obviously the happier you are, because that's you're only going to make more money by growing. You can make more money obviously by growing the revenue, but it's much easier actually to do that by adding another listing to your portfolio. And that's really what our commission is.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Pierre, and sharing this with all of us. I'm excited to try out all the new functionalities myself. So I'll let you know what my findings are. Any final words that you want to share with the listeners?
No, it's always a pleasure to be there, Jasper. We put a lot of work and a lot of hope into our new product. And we are really eager to receive the feedback from that new product to make sure that we can solve more problems for more users.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And of course, the show notes can be found at getpaidforyourpet.com/podcast. There you can find all the links, all the stuff that we talked about. So go check it out. And until next week.
Get paid for your pet. 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 Get paid for your pet.